All right, I want to throw a video up quick on some comparison on some cameras in low light for just video quality. We're not going to go into the specs on none of these cameras. I got a good variation of cameras sitting here, from an action cam on up to a full frame censored camera. Some of them are older models, but they haven't improved that much on them that it would make that much of a difference. But to start it out with, we're going to be running the latest Sony action cam, the X3000. Like I said, just low light, that's it. And then a Panasonic W850. I've had this thing forever, since it was new. They got newer models out, but it's pretty much the same. Very good low light, consumer grade video camera. And then we're going to run a Nikon D5100 APS-C censored DSLR. And I'm going to be using the DX Nikkor 35mm 1.8G. It's a fast lens for it, lets in a lot of light. And then we got the new Sony RX10 Mark III. This camera's got a 1-inch sensor, and I'd love to cover the specs on it, but a lot of people have. I use this a lot for everything now. I just picked up the Sony A7S. It's not the A7S II. There's not a lot of difference for light, actually, on some of the scoring on some of the websites I've seen. The A7S is outdoing the A7S II. And this is, if anybody doesn't know, is a full-frame mirrorless camera. This is considered a low-light king. And I'm going to be running a 50mm FE 1.8 Sony lens on it. Kind of a basic lens. And it'll give you guys a good comparison of what you can expect for differences in these cameras for low light. And I might hook this up to that Sony A7. This is a Nikon 50mm 1.4D, and I do have a Sony to Nikon mount that I picked up from B&H Photo. This lens used and this mount costs less than this basic Sony lens, and it's actually, to me, seems quite a bit better. Eventually I'll put a video on comparing these and a little bit more about that. And that really wakes that camera up. For the initial test, we'll just use this lens. So cut to the chase, I'm going to go out and I'm going to crank these up as high as they'll go. And I might back it off a little bit so you get a stable... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crank it up to where you could get a good usable image on the ones that I can crank up. And I might throw in maxed out too. I'm going to quit filming with the potato that I got. Can't use a good camera to film a camera when I'm talking about it. Actually, it's an old Sony that I've wore out. So let's get rolling. All right, for starters, we're going to use the Sony Action Cam, the X3000. And I'm going to shine out a 600 lumen flashlight, leave it in one spot. This, of course, is cranked all the way up on the Sony. Moon is starting to come up, rather dark. We'll get that flashlight set up where I want it at. And you're looking through the Sony X3000. It's about as what you could expect out of this action cam. All right, this is a Nikon D5100. It's what you can expect out of APS-C type camera. This one doesn't have much control at all with in video mode. The newer ones you do. But one thing I can do is go to a night shot on this, which we'll do. And here's night vision mode. You can see quite a bit with it, but pretty grainy. Back to full manual. As I said, this is the Nikon D5100. All right, now you're looking out at a Panasonic W850. This is cranked all the way up in regular mode. I can switch this over to night mode, which I'll do here. Now that's night mode in color. What that did is drop that down to 15 frames a second, which is pretty neat. But one thing, when you move it, you notice how choppy this is. So it's hard to do video like this. Or you can go into infrared night vision on it. And there's back to full HD. This is Panasonic W850. Right here is the Sony RX10 Mark III. Got it set up so the image looks pretty good. This is about as good as you're going to get. You go any higher, it'll get even more grainy. But I can crank this thing up. I'm at ISO 3200. Start going higher. There's 5,000, 6,400, 8,000, 10,000, 12,800. Very grainy, like I said. This is about as good as you're going to get. I am running 1/15 the second shutter speed. There's 1/25 shutter speed. Bad. I'm going to run the ISO up a little bit. There's 5,000 ISO. That's a pretty good job for a 1-inch sensor camera, I think. That's what you can expect out of a Sony RX10 Mark III. Now, if you were to go into black and white with this RX10, you can crank your ISO up more. As you see there, I'm up to 8,000. There's 10,000. This is cranked all the way up. This is a Sony RX10 Mark III, about as good as you're going to get for a usable image. This 1-inch sensor, not too bad of a camera. This here is the Sony A7S. I'm only at ISO 1600. I got that 50mm 1.8 on. There's ISO 2500, 32, 4000, 5000, 6400, 8000, ISO of 8000, 10,000, 12,800, 16,000 for ISO, 20,000, 25,600. There's 32,000 ISO with a Sony A7S. Look at that damn thing. Now, of course, this can get cranked up a lot more, but it'll probably start getting a lot grainier with this lens. 32,000 ISO, I'm going to go ahead and start turning it up. 51,000. 64. 102,000 ISO. Might as well run it all the way up. 409,000. Right there's 102,000 ISO. You can literally see into the dark with this thing. The most I'd push it with this lens is probably 40,000 right there. There's 32,000, 25,000, 20,000 ISO. It's a wicked camera. I mean, it takes a 600 lumen flashlight and turns it into a rocket. That hillside's over probably 300 meters away. Now you can get a little more out of this by going in black and white. This is what you can expect out of the Sony A7S. 25,600 ISO. Right now I got the Nikon 50mm lens hooked up to this A7S and 25,600 ISO. This one sucks the light in. Then I crank it up more. 51,000 ISO. We're gonna leave it at 25.6. I'm gonna put it in black and white just to see. Here we are, black and white. Right now, I can't see that hillside with my unaided eye. 51,000 ISO. Unreal. Unreal. Again, that was just a test showing you the low light capabilities. You might be able to tweak them a little better. What they say about this A7S is just 100% true. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube trying to determine just how good it is, and I wanted to throw this up just to show you. Maybe I'll put some more videos up explaining this RX10 more and what I like about it. It's a phenomenal camera for everyday shooting. As far as low light, what you can see there, thing is wicked. And I will be throwing a video up about this lens. I might get even a faster one, I don't know, and we'll be comparing it to the Sony FE lens that I got and get some good comparisons of them too. There you go, just a low light video test. Till next time.